Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the day two of Include Her Startup Cohort. Today, we have two very important sessions, and we have two very renowned speakers from the industry. Let's invite our first speaker for the day, Mr. Vikas Bagaria, founder of PSafe. Vikas is a serial entrepreneur and a seasoned businessman with more than 17 years of experience in setting up and successfully running his businesses. He is the founder of PSafe and also the MD of VR Forklift and MD of SRV Damage Preventions Private Limited. Vikas has a rich experience in developing and managing businesses, relationships with key clients as a result of his management skills with sharp analytical abilities. He also has a comprehensive experience in a startup environment right from inception, team building, business planning, and execution. Hi, Vikas.
Hey, Axel. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am good, sir. How are you?
Good. Thanks for the introduction. Very quickly, it's more than 28 years now, not 17 years. Okay.
That's nice. So, today we'll be talking about how to build a team for a startup and request if you could share your experience on this, how a startup can do the perfect hiring and build a core team for them.
Great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Though I cannot see how many people are here, but hello everyone, and a warm welcome to hear what I have to say about team building in startup. Uh, I don't know how many of you know, but I have been an entrepreneur right after my college. Started way back when I was in my first year of economics. I was doing in Javier's, Calcutta. Then I went to Jadavpur University, and then I started way back in '97. Many of you may not have been born or maybe young in their diapers, but yes, things were different at that point of time, and things is entirely different at this point of time. Uh, why I'm very famous at this moment is just because you have to do PR, you have to build, you have to sell product which is consumer. So I happen to create a company called PSafe, which is world's first toilet seat sanitizer spray, and that taught me so many things, which while doing my previous businesses never taught me, was how to work with young people. I was building PSafe. I started the product was founded in 2013, but in 2017 I found this company, and then from there I was here to start or build a world class company into feminine hygiene, into toilet, menstruation, sexual, and grooming. And for that you need young people, and to build a company like these, you need Gen Zs. I one mistake which I did when I was piloting it, I was working with people my age. I turned 50 last year, so 10 years back I was 40, and I was talking to people who were 40 years old or 35 years old, and I said I want to I do this, but it was so difficult for me to get my word out to them, to make them understand how they should work, because the product was being built for people between 15 to 35, Gen Zs and millennials. So that was the first mistake which I did, but I soon realized, and I started hiring young people. I think the topic of this discussion today is team building in startups. So I'll be saying a lot of things which worked for me may not work for you guys. So this is how we're gonna do this. I may talk about, sorry, I will talk about few things for next 20 to 25 minutes. And please roll on your questions, because I will be more than happy to answer your question, which will be relevant to your businesses, right? So you can take whatever can work for your businesses and leave what has worked for me. So I've made some notes as well. So I'll be looking on my right hand side. So please excuse me for that. you know, uh, the most important thing is that when you are hiring and when you are young, I've been told that most of you are young entrepreneurs, or somebody want to be an entrepreneur in the age group of 22 to 25. I think one of the first thing which you need to do is you have to hire freshers, because you are there to start a business. If you hire someone who has a particular level of understanding, particular level of experience, it will be very difficult to make your word out in front of them, because they will come with their baggages. They will come with their preset notions, their preset this thing. But when you are a startup, from 0 to 10, you have to hustle. So you need those people who can hustle with you, who can work long hours, who can work with less pay, and who doesn't have an attitude, who doesn't have that kind of family responsibility, for that matter, right? They can so you need that kind of people. So you need person who is fresher. Take an example of PSafe. I have around 15 people who have hired in the first month of my incorporation in 2017 April. They are still working with me, they are in the leadership role, and out of one of them is now my co-founder. So he worked along with me, stood beside me like a rock, and last year I made him the co-founder, because he knew more than what I have done. As an entrepreneur, you have to work on the fourth quarter of your business, not today, after a while. But yes, when you are building it up, you have to be hands on. But as you grow, you have to make your team responsible and accept their mistakes, right? Because unless and until you make a mistake or they make a mistake, they will not learn. So as an entrepreneur, as a founder, you have to work on the third or the fourth quarter and let them work in today's environment. Make their road easy for them, connecting them, bringing them businesses, networking. That will be your role, fundraising. So again, it may be very difficult or different for your business, set of business, but I'm saying about how it worked for me and most of the people. uh, Hiring, always remember, a founder is the chief HR manager. When you are building your company, people will join you and not your company. People will join your vision and not your company. Or I'll put like this: people will join your purpose rather than your mission and vision. So be the HR manager, interview, meet them, try to understand what they want to be in life. They may come for a couple of years, because see, after college, if you hire someone, they may work for you with you for a couple of years, and they may go for higher studies. Be ready for that. I had at least 40 people who joined me just after the college first job, and after 3 years they went for higher studies, and out of which 4 of them came back and rejoined again. So I'm so super proud that you have given them that platform, that they learn and they come back, right? Uh, Again, team building. You really have to be open to whatever you are doing in life, in business. I also believe that the personal and the professional has to be a difference. You have to bring a line between professional and business. You can go up to a certain limit, but I think you have to draw a line on the personal and the prediction. This thing. Always hire people who are smarter than you. And I told you about 0 to 10, because you are hustling. But once you start growing, right? Once you start scaling from 10 to 100, right? You need muscle. And at that point of time, after 4 5 years of your journey, you have to hire professionals. You have to hire somebody who knows about that industry. I think that will really help you. There's also that's worked for me, that whenever I do an interview, I always ask them about the academics, how their results were, how they were in school, colleges. And you know what? I have never hired someone who has been an A grader throughout their life. Never ever. अ, मैं उनको बोलता हूँ, यार, क्या होता है ना कि जब आप ए ग्रेडर होते हो ना, हमेशा फर्स्ट आ रहे हो, सेकंड आ रहे हो, या हमेशा ऊपर रहते हो, and if there is a crisis in the company, right? If there is some kind of there's a crisis in the company, yeah. So that person will not able to sustain, or he may break, or he or she may break. So I always hire someone who has tasted failure, because when you are in the bottom of the curve, if it's a U curve, right? And when you are at the bottom of the curve, there are only two ways, and that person knows. If you're at the bottom of the curve, either you go A right or you go B right, but you go up. Either आप A से ऊपर जाओगे या B से ऊपर जाओगे, but ऊपर ही जाओगे. So that person knows. I think that is the best person to hire, who has tasted failure, who has hunger. Not always, of course, big respect for people who are always A grader, but that this worked for me. So again, it's what worked for me. I'm telling you about. Uh, Operations. I think you should have a lot of uh, power to your team. Divide team roles, right? Give them authority, how to deliver, and if they make mistake, of course. So I sorry guys, I'm having questions coming in. So let me just finish in another 4 5 minutes, and then start answering those questions. Right? You may keep sending your questions. Maybe Axel can help me out in reading out question, or I can do that. Uh, I also believe something like, and then the founder and the chairman of Thyrocare, world's one of the largest diagnostic company, Dr. Williman, he said once that if you do what you have studied, you will be successful. But if you do what you have not studied, you will be a leader. So when I started working this youngsters, they knew a lot which I didn't. I had an experience of managing people, but I wanted young talents who are far smarter than me. So I started working with them. So that helped me. And I really always wanted to be a leader. I always wanted to be. One more thing is that at the time of crisis, be in front of your team. Always take everything which you can. But when it's happy days, when it's sunshining days, you have to be standing at the right at the back, and keep your people in front. I think that will make a great company. uh, yeah, so I think this is few things. I'll be more than happy to answer questions, because that will build up this conversation. So Aksa, can I start taking questions here?
Sure, sir. So we have a lot of questions coming up in the comment section. Let's
Yeah.
take them one by one.
Yes, please.
First question is from Achal Jain. Hello, sir. As a startup, our budget is very low to hire developers. How do we come up with a solution?
Okay, so Achal, I'll tell you, in India there are many companies who have been very successful by setting it up at tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Take example at Indore, at Chandigarh, at Raipur, in Secunderabad, in Vizag, in Cochin. There are a lot of these developers who are amazingly talented, but they are not getting any kind of opportunity in the metro cities. So take example of a company called Engineer Babu in Indore. Amazing company. All the developers are based out of region nearby. They cost one third of a people who are staying in metro. You have to remember, if you are rented a house or a flat, you have to pay a certain money, right? And they are all coming from outside that city. So go and look for, if you want to really hire a budget low cost developers, go to tier 3 and tier 4 cities. You'll definitely find someone there for sure.
We have another question from the Youth Talks. Sir, I read that people are finding it tough to recruit talent owing to lack of skills that these young workforce has. I wanted to ask you that do you think the skills matter more than the degrees?
Very good question. The youth talks. uh, I'll just refrain here is how I want to answer this is, so डिग्री तो यार कैसे भी मिल जाती है आपको. Skills सिखाया जा सकता है. You can make people, you can teach people about the skills, but for me, what is important is attitude. So always look for people who has the right attitude to deliver your work. I think degree doesn't matter at all, right? I'm complete. I don't have any degrees, right? Many people who I know doesn't have any degrees. They have learned skills, but they have attitude to deliver, attitude to work, and attitude to say no, never say never. I think that's what you need. I hope this answered the question. Haji.
So next question we have from Praktun. How do you handle conflicts within a team? Can you provide an example where you successfully managed a team conflict?
अगेन अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. इसका कोई एक उपाय तो नहीं है. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स हमेशा रहता है. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स बेसिकली आप देखें ना, अगर टीम में, वो ईगो का है कि मैंने ये, उसको ये बोल दिया, उसने वो बोल दिया, मैंने ये काम किया, उसने ये काम नहीं किया. आई थिंक ऐसा बहुत बार हुआ है कि कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होती है. मेरे साथ तो लीडरशिप में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होती है, वो बट वो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होती है फॉर द बेटर ऑफ द कंपनी. if if this is for the better of the company, when both the people are are they are wanting to good, that's good. That's good conflict. Then you have to be a leader and to choose what is right for them. But if there is a conflict in the same team कि मैं ये करूंगा, मैं नहीं करूंगा, then you have to sit with them, right? As a leader, you have to hear both of them separately, right? And then try to pacify themselves. उनको बीच में बैठ जाओ और बताओ कि भाई तुम यहाँ गलत हो, तुम वहां गलत हो. बट हर वक्त काम नहीं चलता, ये बहुत डिफिकल्ट चीज है. आई ऑलवेज से दैट पीपल्स मैनेजिंग पीपल इज द टफेस्ट जॉब इन द वर्ल्ड, राइट? और आप जितने लोग को काम ठीक करते जाओगे और बिगड़ते जाएंगे. बट आई थिंक इट्स जस्ट दैट यू हैव टू टॉक between them. Never take a side. uh, नेवर एवर किसी किसी को आप उनके सामने उनकी बड़ाई करो और किसी की निंदा करो, ऐसा ही मत करो. आई थिंक यू हैव टू take them inside and talk to them. I think that's the only solution. But it's a very difficult question to answer, to be very honest with you. बहुत बार हुआ है जो मैं नहीं कर पाया conflicts. People have left the team also. People have accused others as well कि I'm leaving for that, because you all know, yeah, you young guys, you all know that people leave managers and not the company. So I think you have to be a great people's manager first, rather than be a boss. I think that will solve a lot of problem.
Next question we have from Chavigar. How to manage freshers and train them remotely on a particular skill?
Okay, so if it's a tech related job, I think there are a lot of tools are available which can let you know if they have done the work or not in terms of managing them. But if you want to skill them, I think you have to give them test and task, and see how they are performing. Uh, Honestly, I'm not a big fan of working remotely. I always believe that if you are with people, if you are in the office, you learn a lot by your peers. But again, it's a difficult task because for me, WTF, so WT, work from home, right? WTH is not work from home, is work for home. So I always believe that you should come to office, and then maybe you'll able to make people learn. Again, it's difficult, but there are tools available where you can measure those peoples. I think that will be the only answer which I have.
Next question we have from Chavi Singh. What was the most significant challenge you faced in the early stages of your startup and how did you overcome it?
So is it related to team hiring or is it related to something else? Shavi, if you can answer this.
I'm assuming it would be related to team hiring.
Okay, I think it was very difficult to hire people, right? Once you start, but for luckily, fortunately for me, I had a background of 20 years, maybe around 19 years when I started PSafe. I had people, around 400 people were already working for me. And when I started PSafe, there were a lot of people who wanted to work for me. They came. But again, to give you a very answer here is, you'll find a lot of challenge to attract people. They will be asking the moon from you, but you won't be able to deliver, so they may leave. So you have to show your purpose. You have to be their best friend. You have to show the culture which you will be building it up. You have to be the best friend for them. I think then only they will stick with you. और सबसे पहली बात यार, आप कुछ घर ले जाओ उससे पहले उनको दो पहले. I think that's the best thing which a founder or an entrepreneur or a leader can do it. But again, I'll tell you, uh, challenges was to attract people, even to come to interview. Interview के बाद डेट ऑफ ज्वाइनिंग में लोग नहीं आते हैं। सबसे बड़ी फिगर आपको मिली, सबसे बड़ी, बिकॉज वो कहीं से कुछ सुन लेते हैं, कहीं कुछ कर लेते हैं, 2 महीना आप वेट करते हो, उस जॉब को छोड़ के उस दिन नहीं आएंगे। सो आई थिंक द बिगेस्ट वाज टू अट्रैक्ट पीपल इवन फॉर इंटरव्यू, एंड अगर आपने उनको प्लेसमेंट कर दी है, वो ज्वाइन नहीं करते हैं। तो दीज वर द फ्यू challenges which I had, which I have to overcome.
I have a question before we move to the other one. Is it true that people are hesitant to join a startup?
Uh, Fresher, no, they are more than happy. Experience guys, because उनको आप जब तक security नहीं दोगे, job security नहीं होगा, वो they will be hesitant. If the company has not funded yet, somebody who is running their family, their only source of income will be because of this job. They उनको थोड़ी सी कष्ट होगी join करने में, because at the end of the day उनको अपने family manage करनी है. So, but but overall, I think people are more than happy to join startups because freedom hoti hai iske andar. And guys, believe me, the amount of learning a startup can give, no businesses, no corporates can give, because you have a 360-degree view of the business. You have been asked to do each and every stuff. I think people may sacrifice a 1 or 2 years of growth, or a steady pay. They'll join startup to learn, and to do something. I always say that व्हेन वी स्टार्ट बिजनेस ना, आपको पहले 2 साल कुछ काम करना चाहिए, सीधा इन entrepreneur नहीं बनना चाहिए. Because what happens is, and this is my personal belief, right? People are many successful businesses have been started by dropouts right after the school. But again, I believe personally that if you have worked under someone, if you have taken orders, if you know how thing works, you'll treat your people more leniently, and you'll be a better leader than a boss. So that's my belief, that you should work somewhere. Unfortunately, I didn't work, and I still regret that I haven't worked for anyone in my life. I should have worked somewhere.
So the next question is from Anamika Sharma. Hi, what is it that the leaders should do to stay aligned to the vision?
Again, very good question, Anamika. A leader should only focus on vision and stop doing micromanaging. They should, once you have hired people, when you hired person for the job, let him do the job. Let's not go and ask him, ये हुआ, क्यों नहीं हुआ, कैसे नहीं हुआ. I think if being a leader, your review systems are very strong, then you will be focusing on your third quarter, that how you are making the way better, connecting people, getting networked, bringing businesses for your team to deliver in operations. I think that the only way a leader can stay true to their purpose and a vision. हम बहुत बार क्या होते हैं कि माइक्रो मैनेज करने लगते हैं. यार तुम लिंक्डइन पर क्यों बैठे थे, तुम देर क्यों आ रहे हो, या तुम कॉफी टेबल के पास इतना क्यों हो, why you are taking so much of leave. यार अल्टीमेटली आपके पास एक पर्टिकुलर टाइम है लाइफ में, अगर आप उसमें माइक्रो मैनेजमेंट कर, आई थिंक दैट द मोस्ट ऑफ द लीडर फेल्स because they start micromanaging. You have to have a very strong, as you grow, a founder's office. uh, uh, you need to have very strong analytic people, so that they give you the dashboard of all the verticals, and that is how you stay focused to your vision. I hope this answers.
Okay, next we have a question from World of Bollywood. Sir, we often see that while starting up, we joyfully come together and start building the company. But going further, the style of working of everyone is different, and sometimes someone is doing well, and sometimes others. How to solve or swallow it and go with the flow with that situation?
एक बार क्वेश्चन समझ में नहीं आया, फिर से जरा बोलेंगे प्लीज एक बार. इट इज अ लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन, सॉरी.
So we
Okay,
often
we
see that. Sorry.
come together, start building a company, but going forward, the style of working of everyone is different, and sometimes someone is doing well, okay, and sometimes others, okay. How to solve or swallow it and go with the flow with that situation. Okay, so जो I think the world of Bollywood, जो आप बोलना चाह रहे हैं ये है कि during the building up a startup, everyone has a different way of doing businesses. अगेन इसका कोई एक जवाब तो नहीं है, इसको तो फ्लो और जब आप एक्सपीरियंस करोगे तभी समझ में आता है. बट एज अ लीडर, what I will do is I'll try to see if a person is working in a particular sector, a particular vertical in a business, and he's not happy. Can I do a horizontal movement? Can I switch job with someone else? I think that's the one way to make people happy. Uh, on the smaller side, I have seen that when you hire a friend, and this is a really fact, it has actually happened with me also, or when you hire a relative, most of the time, I'd say 50% of the time they are good, 50 of the percent of the time they aren't. But it becomes very difficult for you to ask them to leave. But in the interest of your company, in the benefit of your company, I think you should talk it out, and you can tell him, you can give him a good review, that boss, it doesn't work. We should remain friends, we should remain our relatives whatsoever, but you have to move on. I think it's very important that you give that freedom and be very honest to yourself and to your staff, so that they can able to take. और एक चीज भी होता है, जब भी हम रिव्यू करते हैं, अप्रेजल रिव्यू होता है, बोथ एक टू साइड रिव्यू होना बहुत जरूरी है. You should take review for yourself as well when you are reviewing others, and give them time to come prepared for review. I think ये क्वेश्चन जो है, इसमें रिव्यू बहुत अगर स्ट्रांग होगा, तो आई थिंक यू एबल टू सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम which you just wrote.
We have a follow-up question from Anamika. So, micromanagement or macromanagement in a small team, which one is the best way forward?
देखो, जब स्मॉल टीम होती है ना, तब आपको हर चीज का एक बर्ड्स आई व्यू बहुत होना जरूरी है. यू मे बी गुड एट सम पर्टिकुलर skills, so you should be responsible for that. Make people responsible for their role, their act, and make them own it. I think I will be always away from day to day work, and will be focusing on target based deliveries. If I have to deliver something in a week, or a month, or a quarter, I'll be waiting for that. But I'll be taking a regular update. If they are not able to perform, if they're not able to deliver, I'll definitely take a review on the Excel sheet or the MIS. But I will not go and teach them after a while, after I have given them the freedom to work. So I think you don't need to do micromanagement.
So next we have a question from Andy. Does money raise solve your problem at PSafe of hiring?
पता है, ये ना कैश 22 सिचुएशन है. Of course, when you raise money, you get freedom of expenditure, of scale, freedom of hiring people, freedom of taking decisions. You don't need to wait for it. But raising money also bring lot of responsibilities, right? Once you have a serious VC or a P on your cap table, you become responsible, because it's others money which you are managing. You are responsible. You have to respond to their questions. You have to send them regular updates. So I think it's definitely it solved a lot of PSafe's problem, because we want to uh, we raised money, and when people say that we have money, they will come and join you. So you can hire a headhunter, you go to the agencies. People wants to join companies who are funded. So that, yes, I agree with you, it has helped.
Next we have a question from Danger Abir. Hi Vikas, thank you for doing this. A simple question is, when does an entrepreneur stop and hang in the boots? Is there a definitive plan that a leader like you would have?
I think if I'm see, my dad is 81. He has his own business in Calcutta, and he hasn't hanged his boot yet. I think he will never. So if you ask me, I'm 51 this year, running four different companies, but focusing on one. The other three are completely professionally managed, and I'm not in a hurry to hang my boot, because the day I stopped working, I think I'm dead. So What I do is, what I'm good at is showing up every day, no matter what. So as an entrepreneur, I think, but yes, I do take care of my health. I think I do take Saturdays, Sundays off. By the way, uh, for good 23 years of my life, I worked 6 days in a week. Only last year, 23, 1st April, I've stopped working on Saturdays as a physical working. But of course, as an entrepreneur, you are working 24/7, you are working every time. But physically, I've stopped going to the office. We don't have office on Saturday now. To answer your question again, an entrepreneur will never stop working. I think till the time he's alive. If you hang your boot, I think you're ready to retire, and that's also a good thing. To I respect who retires and enjoy, but for me, I think I'm my father's son. I may not retire.
That's great. So next we have a question from Digi Asia News. What are the next three, four startup ideas or sectors that you are betting upon for the Indian startup ecosystem?
Uh, Very good question, DG News Asia. DG Asia News. Climate uh, is anything in climate, anything in sustainability. Health. Uh, by the way, 2 days back we had the World Population Day. We are close to 8 billion people on the earth. I think health and India is, for that matter, in particular, need a lot of health businesses. So climate, health, and I think these two where I will be, and infrastructure. If you see in the equity market, capital market also, uh, uh, we don't have a major infrastructure or a manufacturing company coming out of India. So I'll be more bullish on investing on companies who are making in India, because if you follow global businesses, one of my businesses into aerospace and defense, which I've been doing for last 22 years now. uh, and we are on a roll, because the way Indian aerospace and defense are exporting out of India, and the way drones are coming in, where aerospace is coming in, I think it's a great industry to be in at this moment. And China Plus One strategy is really helping India. Yeah. So climate, health, and infrastructure.
So we have another question from Chavi. Tell us the most important thing related to finance in the startup ecosystem, CA wise, funding, hiring, etc.
I think the most important thing in finance is completely be honest of everything. I have seen many a times founders or some leadership, when they have money, they started splurging, right? So be very honest and true to your investors. It's very much important. Funding, always make your books very clear, because जैसे जैसे आप grow करोगे, आपके due diligence बहुत होएगी. So always be ready with all your numbers. Chartered accountant, CA wise, you have to hire someone at this, when you are starting a business, or when you're in a very seeds phase, or a angels phase. Have someone who understand fundraise, who understand all those SHAs and agreements and other stuff. Don't go to the expensive chartered accountants. uh, इकोसिस्टम में आई थिंक बहुत जरूरी है कि यू हैव टू बी completely transparent. The more transparency which you'll show, I think more people will like you.
So next we have a question from Yukta Jain. How to create a healthy environment in a fast-paced company when the employees are not giving their best?
ये क्वेश्चन हर इंडस्ट्री में सब कोई ने फेस किया है. मैं बोलूंगा 10 में से 8 लोग अच्छे होते हैं, दो may not able to fit in your organization and they may not able to deliver. So give them chance, but have a stop loss. जैसे हम शेयर मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, कैपिटल मार्केट इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, स्टॉप लॉस डालते हैं कि अगर इससे नीचे आएगा तो मैं बेच दूंगा. So I think you should have with your employees as well. If they are unable to perform after you have spoken to them and given them a chance to improve, I think it's time you ask them to leave. but give them proper time and benefit of doubt that they may be better at what they are doing it. But आई थिंक चेंज इज नेसेसिटी. बहुत बार लोग क्या होते हैं अपने काम में इस तरह से सेट हो जाते हैं कि दे डोंट वांट टू लर्न, दे डोंट वांट टू ग्रो देमसेल्फ, दे आर हैप्पी. दैट आल्सो बिकम डिफिकल्ट फॉर एनी बिजनेसेस. So be ready for change. See, they had the liberty of leaving you and go anytime, so you also should have a liberty of asking them to leave after giving a proper justification.
So another question from the youth talks: how important is to get the name of the company product right? Do you think name matters on the first day or it grows with the age?
वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. ये मेरे को बार बार बोला गया कि कोई पी ब्रांड का नाम कैसे रख सकता है, right? Be safe, but it was an idiot proof name, right? So I think it goes both way. Brand का नाम important भी होता है और नहीं भी होता है. It can grow. For me it worked because it was an idiot proof name. I didn't need to make people understand what be safe means. But अगर किसी वक्त आपको लगता है कि ब्रांड नेम से आपको प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, लोगों को समझ में नहीं आ रहा, पीपल आर कंफ्यूज्ड, so I think you can change it. But this is again, you'll learn and you'll experience only by being in the journey. There's no right or wrong answer for this at this moment. The youth talks.
We have an interesting question from Puneet. Sir, do you also invest? If yes, how to reach out to you?
या मेरी चेक साइज बहुत छोटी होती है. मैं 5, 10, 15, 20 लाख रुपए इन्वेस्ट करता हूँ. अभी रिसेंटली नहीं किया, बट आई बीन इन्वेस्टिंग फॉर लास्ट 10 to 15 years now. Over 40 investments so far. I'm available on LinkedIn. You can DM me or you can write to me on vikas@psafe.com. I'll definitely reply. But I invest on people rather than on businesses. Uh, yeah, so I'm not a big investor. Yeah.
So Puneet, you know how to reach out to Vikas now. Next, we have question from Ridul Jain. Hi, can you help me understand how can we find out the size of the market for a particular idea? Like what is the scope of business?
मृदुल, these are all available. Euro monitors और बहुत सारे आर्टिकल्स हैं, बहुत सारे टूल्स हैं जिससे आपको आप अगर गूगल करोगे आपको बहुत सारी चीज़ मिलेगी. अगर वो that business is already existing, if there are some leaders in that business, you'll able to know. But if for again, I'll give you an example of PSafe. So when I started, people asked me, what is the size of your business? Toilet seat sanitizer spray, right? टॉयलेट सीट सैनिटाइजर स्प्रे वर्ल्ड का पहला प्रोडक्ट था. मैं कैसे मार्केट बताऊं, उसको मार्केट साइज बताऊं? तो मेरे लिए जो जो आंसर था वो था कि टोटल एड्रेसेबल मार्केट क्या है. सो अगर इंडिया में लोग 6 लाख रुपया कमा रहे हैं साल का और घर से निकल रहे हैं, दोज आर माई एड्रेसेबल मार्केट, बिकॉज वो 100 रुपया महीने का इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं. अगर फैमिली 12 लाख कमा रही है तो वो मेरे लिए डबल एड्रेसेबल मार्केट हो जाता है. तो यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट कि कितने सारे लोग आपके प्रोडक्ट को अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं. देन यू कैन फाइंड आउट कि ये टोटल एड्रेसेबल मार्केट है, राइट? मार्केट साइज तो क्या होगा व्हेन यू हैव ऑलरेडी बीन क्रिएटेड. So now, since for last 10 years, I have created pieces. So we sell around say 5 lakh bottles a month, right? We are around having 75 market share, 75% market share. So now you can calculate कि this is the size of the market. But when you're creating a new product, you should know what is the total addressable market. अगले थोड़ा लैग चल रहा है क्या इसके अंदर?
I don't think so.
ओके, ठीक है, मेरे याद कुछ था. ओके.
So another question from Anamika. Thank you very much. One last question. Does having an R&D team in a small startup a good investment?
100% अनामिका. एज अ फाउंडर, एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर, आप कोई भी बिजनेस में हो, अगर उसमें आपको R&D चाहिए, इट हैज टू बी इन हाउस कंप्लीटली. आप उसको इन्वेस्ट करो. PSafe always had an R&D team and we have grown that R&D team. You be that the head of that R&D team. बोलते ना, एक एक बच्चे को टॉय शॉप में डाल दो और वो हर चीज को छू छू के टेस्ट करके देखता है, तो यू हैव टू बी दैट लीडर इन R&D टीम, बट यू शुड हैव अ प्रोफेशनल जो आपके विजन को डिलीवर कर सके. सो R&D टीम होना बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज अदरवाइज इफ यू गो आउट they will be charging bomb from you. So it's better to have a small team. रोज एक्सपेरिमेंट करो, रोज फेल हो, और मे बी यूल बी सक्सेसफुल वन डे.
So we'll wait for 30 more seconds if we have any more questions in the comments. I have a
Yes.
question, Vikas. So
हाँ हाँ.
do you also feel funding has stopped in India at a base level?
नहीं, इनफैक्ट बेस लेवल में फंडिंग बहुत अवेलेबल है.
Okay.
स्टार्टिंग लेवल में फंडिंग बहुत अवेलेबल है, बिकॉज उसमें वैल्यूएशन अच्छी मिलती है. स्केल जब आप करते हो, उसमें फंडिंग अवेलेबल नहीं होती, बिकॉज लोगों का कंसेप्ट चेंज हो गया है. पहले स्केल के लिए पैसे देते थे, आजकल प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी के लिए पैसे देते हैं. बट व्हेन यू आर स्टार्टिंग अप, सो अबाउट फंडिंग आई विल टेल यू गाइस, एंड maybe we can connect again. We can do another session or something like that. You know, when you started a business, I think the पहला इन्वेस्टमेंट आपके पास से होना चाहिए, जो आपकी टाइम है या whatever money you have. The second investment should be from your friends and family, your immediate friends and family, because आपको उनको मुंह दिखाना होता है every day. So you will be performing, you will be working your ass out to be successful. The third funding should be coming from angel investors, right? बिकॉज वो आपको अब आपके बिजनेस के ऊपर पैसे देंगे या आपको जान के पैसे देंगे. सॉरी अजर, अजर, यू आर म्यूट, यू आर सेइंग समथिंग.
No, no.
ओके. ओके. सो थर्ड फंडिंग इज ऑफ कोर्स फ्रॉम एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स, जो कि प्योर इन्वेस्टर्स होते हैं, जो कि इन्वेस्ट करके उनको रिटर्न चाहिए. एंड देन कम्स योर प्री सीरीज ए, वेयर अ मोर मैच्योर्ड early stage VC will invest, and then the VC, and then the PE. So again, uh, uh, friends and family, angel, and this is how you should grow.
Thank you, Vikas. I don't see any questions coming up in the chat. So, any closing remarks or advice for these young upcoming entrepreneurs?
uh, मैं ना हमेशा एक चीज बोलता हूं कि नेवर स्टार्ट अ बिजनेस टू रेज फंडिंग. मेरे पास बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग आते हैं कि सर, मेरे पास एक आइडिया है, आई हैव अ वेबसाइट, क्या मुझे फंडिंग मिल जाएगी? ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, फंडिंग इज द मोस्ट एक्सपेंसिव डेट. व्हेन यू स्टार्ट रेजिंग मनी, यू आर स्टार्टेड वर्किंग फॉर योर बोर्ड. आपकी फ्रीडम चली जाती है. सो जितना आप इसको अपने पैसे से चला सको, बूटस्ट्रैप कर सको, वो बहुत अच्छा है. बट वंस यू रेज फंडिंग, you have to be, you have to have an ownership of that money which you have taken. You have to be answerable to those people. So never start a business just to raise funding. you know आपने बहुत बार देखा होगा कि यार, हम हमेशा न्यूज़ सुनते हैं, वो स्टार्टअप पेज ईटी में या फिर कहीं पर भी, यार उसको ये फंडिंग मिल गई, उसको वो फंडिंग मिल गई, ये पार्टी हो रही है, वो पार्टी हो रही है. डोंट सेलिब्रेट व्हेन यू रेज फंडिंग, celebrate when you exit, because that's where you make money. On raising funding, you have taken debt, you have given your equities, you have not taken a single money home. But when you exit, when you sell your company, that's where you make money. So celebrate when you exit, don't celebrate while you raise funding. I think that's, again, be a people's person. You all are young entrepreneurs or future entrepreneurs. I think it's very important to stay humble. uh, Believe me, uh, I, at the age of 51, I always believe that your generation, people born after 95, 97, the Gen Z, they're the most smartest lot. And uh, if you guys because you guys are explorer, right? You explore, you read, and then you do stuff. But don't ever बोलते हैं ना कि हम 2 साल में 3 साल में थक जाते हैं. मत थको कोई बिजनेस को जब स्टार्ट करते हो. I'll just give you an example. 2002, when I started with an American company as a joint venture, it took me 18 months to get my first sales. 18 months. And I was up there. Day after day I was up there. And see, that business has lasted for 22 long years, and we are the only company who monitors India's entire nuclear weapon systems and missiles and aerospace and other stuff. So you have to be at it. So I think that's the two things which I want to say, Akzar. We have a couple of questions more, I believe.
Yes, there are questions coming up.
Yeah, we have time. I can answer. Yeah.
Sure. So we have a question from Anchal Jain. Chances of getting success in a startup is less than trading market. By the way, do you also trade?
So I don't trade, I invest in equity for long term, because if you trade means you are buying and you are selling today or tomorrow, which is very risky. So I invest in blue chip company. I invest in companies who may get a lot of orders, but I'm not a big investor. And to answer, chances of getting success in startup is less than trading market. Trading is more than speculation. Startup is not speculation. Startup is your hard-earned passion business which you are building it up. So I think getting successful in startup is guaranteed if you put in a lot. But again, it may fail, and be happy to wind it up also. But trading is a risky business, especially F&O is are very risky. Invest in long term. I think that will give you a very good return.
So Anchal, you know the answer now. We have a question from Rainbows. Sir, how to make a roadmap considering all the factors for a startup?
मतलब कोई इसका एक प्लेबुक नहीं होता. एक इंडस्ट्री की प्लेबुक होगी, बट एक रोड मैप बनाने के लिए आपको यही करना है कि उस बिजनेस को क्या चाहिए. पैसे सैलरी के लिए, वेंडर्स के लिए. अगर आप प्रोडक्ट बनाए तो एक अच्छी क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट बनाओ जो कि कस्टमर उसको दो. कस्टमर को जो आप बेचो वो आपको पैसे दे. आई थिंक टू बिकम अ वेरी सक्सेसफुल वेंचर, योर प्रोडक्ट should matters, nothing else. If your product is good, it will be, and price it low. यू नो आई कैन गारंटीड, आप सर्च कर लो, दुनिया में ऐसी कोई कंपनी नहीं है जो बंद हुई होगी बिकॉज उसके प्राइस कम था. लोग बोलते हैं योर प्राइस इज टू लो, आप बिजनेस कैसे बनाओगे. बट ऐसी कोई कंपनी बता दो जो कि लो प्राइस पर बेचती थी क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट और वो बंद हुई हो, कभी नहीं. सो प्रोडक्ट प्राइसिंग अगर ठीक है, देन एवरीथिंग विल फॉलो इन प्लेस.
So the next question is from Komal. What challenges have you faced in the recent years where the pressure on profitability has increased?
ओह, आस्क मी. 2 साल बहुत खराब गए थे. जब फंडिंग रुकी हुई थी, फंडिंग ड्राइड आउट था. लोग बोलते थे स्केल से कोई मतलब नहीं है, आपको प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी दिखानी है. कोई से बात करते थे, यार आप लॉस बना रहे हो. वही इन्वेस्टर 2 महीने पहले बोलते थे आप पैसे बर्न करो, और 2 महीने बाद बोलते आपको प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी चाहिए. तो बहुत सारी इस तरह की चैलेंजेस आई हुई है. बट बीइंग एन ओल्ड एंटरप्रेन्योर, हमें पता था कहाँ क्या करना चाहिए. सो आई टुक the challenge heads on and started working on increasing the gross margin, cutting down on the expenses, cutting down on the marketing budgets, but simultaneously focusing on growth by doing organic stuff. Because ये कहावत है ना, जब हमारे पास पैसे होते हैं हम ज़्यादा खर्च करते हैं, जब पैसे नहीं होते हम बचा के और आगे बढ़ जाते हैं. सबके फैमिली में, हमारे सब फैमिली में भी ऐसे ही है ना. जब हमारे पास पैसे नहीं थे हम अच्छा काम करते थे, जब पैसा हो जाते थे तो हम एक की जगह 6 सामान खरीद लेते थे. तो आई थिंक when you have less money you perform better, and I agree with that we have to look at profitability. A lot of pressure was us, and it was a good pressure, to be honest with you. I think the pressure has helped us look towards profitability and towards a path of profitability. So PSEV is almost on the door of being profitable, wherein we had as high as 100% negative EBITDA at one point of time.
I guess there are no more questions. So thank you, Vikas. Thanks a lot for this insightful session. I hope everyone has learned something today, and we'll see good startups coming up in the future.
No, thank you so much, Exer. I think thank you everyone who had asked question who 40 मिनट तक 50 मिनट तक मेरी बकबक सुन रहे थे. बट अगेन मैं यही बोलूंगा यार, हर चीज अलग अलग होती है. मैंने जब स्टार्ट किया चैलेंजेस अलग थे, अभी चैलेंजेस अलग है. बट मैन पावर, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स की चैलेंज एक ही रहेगी हमेशा. यार मुझे ऐसे क्यों बोल दिया, मुझे वैसे क्यों बोल दिया, मुझे ये करना है, मुझे वो करना है. एंड यू हैव टू टेक एंड यू हैव टू जज टाइम एनर्जी के साथ में. बट don't please start the business just because you want to raise money. uh, be honest to yourself, your people, your staff come first. Because आज मैं इस 27 साल 28 साल काम करने के बाद यहाँ बैठा हूँ बिकॉज मेरी टीम काम कर रही है, बिकॉज आई हैव मेड देम empowered that they are working. But be always there. Take reviews. Be the agony aunt. Then only the team will stay with you. Last thing, and I want to say before I wind up this is, I started in 97 2002. दो कंपनी मैंने स्टार्ट की थी. उस दो कंपनी से अभी तक मेरे पास 8 लोग हैं जो मेरी जर्नी में ज्वाइन किए हुए हैं. 8 people. एंड दे हैव ग्रोन विथ मी, राइट. फ्रॉम दैट 97 से 8 लोग, और 2002 से 8 लोग हैं. और 2017 से ऑलमोस्ट 7 इयर्स, जब पीसेफ चालू हुआ था, तब से मेरे पास 15 लोग हैं, जो कि 15 लोग हैं जो मेरे साथ काम कर रहे हैं. एंड दे आर ऑल वर फ्रेशर्स, एंड दे आर इन द लीडरशिप रोल एज अ प्रेसिडेंट, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, एजीएम्स. एंड वन हैज इवन बिकम द को फाउंडर. सो सो आप ग्रो करो तो अपने लोगों को साथ में ग्रो करो, तभी आप सक्सेसफुल होगे, तो नहीं होगे. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you so much, Vikas, and we'd love to have another session with you on the topic of funding. People are really interested in that.
यस, बट अगेन मैं बोलता हूँ, फंडिंग के लिए बिजनेस स्टार्ट मत करना. बट यस, एनीथिंग व्हिच आई विल बी एबल टू आंसर, आई विल बी मोर देन हैप्पी टू हियर.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
So we'll move on to our next session. Uh, let's wait for 5 more minutes and then we'll start the next session. Let's take a 5 minutes quick break and be right back. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the next session. Now I would like to invite Mr. Kapil Gupta. Kapil is a parallel entrepreneur who believes in providing true meaning to the various organizations he runs and builds them in sync with another. He jokingly calls himself the jack of all trades and a master of some. He is the founder and CEO of the following organizations: Soul Wellness, a mental wellness platform, and his current passion project; Om Logic, one of India's leading digital marketing agencies; Pragati E, a virtual exhibition platform; Frontlist, portal for the publishing industry. And he'll be talking about a very important topic: the importance of mental well-being for a startup founder. Hi, Kapil. You are on mute.
Yeah. Hi, Oscar. How are you?
I am good. How are you, sir?
I am doing very well.
So let's start with your session. We already have 800 people watching us live on YouTube, so
Okay.
we can get going.
Great. Can I ask people question? Will they be able to respond using voice, or will they be able to type, or both?
Yeah, they'll be able to respond over chat.
Okay, but they can't speak.
No,
Okay. Great. So, first of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. As you mentioned, I have been working in mental wellness. In fact, I have done a lot of work in terms of creating technology around mental health, and that is something that I will talk about in a lot of detail. However, I want to ensure that it's not just me presenting and talking about what I do. I'm actually able to deliver value for which I would like a lot of people on this platform to talk. To just put your messages. I have opened the chat window and I will keep looking there and I will keep speaking from there. So let me first ask everybody, do you understand what mental health is? When I use the word mental wellness, what comes to your mind? So if people can just type in the chat box and I can read those. So the question is, when I use the word mental wellness, what comes to your head? What do you think the first? Anyone in the room? So, do you think about people that are crazy? Do you think about people that have some sort of a disorder? Do you think about bipolar or schizophrenia or something? Do you think about people that have autism or ADHD, or do you think about people that have a learning disability? What comes to your mind when I use the word mental wellness? Anyone wants to start? Perfect. I'm so glad nobody in the room actually put an answer to this. And that's the starting point of where I started looking at mental health. So what I will do on this in this conversation is, first of all, start by talking about my mental health journey. And when I say my mental health journey, I'm not sharing personal tidbits about how I went through a disorder or how I had high amount of stress or anything. I will talk about how I ended up starting Soul Wellness and how I ended up being a mental health activist. So, one of the fundamental problems that we look at when we use or when we talk about mental health is the fact that nobody wants to talk about it. Now, instead of asking you, what do you think about when I say the word mental wellness? Think about the same question when I ask you, what do you think about emotional wellness? And think about the same question when I ask you. So, uh, we all have good days and bad days in our lives. So, is there anybody in this that would disagree or that doesn't go through that? We have a day when we wake up on the right side of the bed. We start our day productive. The sun is shining just the right amount. There is no gloominess in the environment. We have a breakfast that sounds, interesting, that is tasty. We leave our home. We go to wherever we need to go, whether it is to our workplace, whether it is to our college, or whatever we do. And everything starts to fit together and we are our productive best. And then the next day we wake up and it's a bad day. We wake up in a bad mood. We probably, did not wake up right, so somebody just kicked us and we woke up, or there was some loud sound, some outburst or something, and that put us out. And then, we start our day slow, things are not happening right, we leave our house and we either end up putting our foot in, something on the road, or something breaks down and we get into whatever metro or bus, or however we go, and there is a breakdown there, and then we get to our workplace or our college or our wherever we are going, and things just don't work right. So we have days that are good days, and we have days that are bad days. Can anybody comprehensively think about what causes you a good day and what causes you a bad day? From all the research that I have done and from all the people that I have talked to, it is simply we wake up one day and it's a good day, and we wake up some other day and it's a bad day. Fundamentally, between these 2 days, yeah, there are minor nuances or minor stuff that might happen in your life. Yeah, you would have fought with a friend, yeah, you would not have enjoyed the previous, something would have happened. But fundamentally, nothing in your life changes between this good day and this bad day. A day when you are productive, when you are efficient, when you are happy, when you are peaceful, and when you like your life. And this bad day when it's just the opposite. When you are non productive, when you don't get much accomplished, when you are not efficient, when you don't enjoy talking to people, when you are not happy, and when you absolutely do not have peace in your life. And what I think mental wellness really is about is the ability, or is the empowerment of people to, number one, reduce the number of bad days that they have, and number two, reduce the intensity of those bad days. And really, if you want to summarize the entire area of mental wellness, it fits into these two categories. Can I, working individually or empowering individually, each one of you, ensure that you have lesser number of bad days, and you have lesser intensity of those bad days as you move forward in your life? The challenge that we face is that nobody wants to talk about it. The challenge that we face is we all think we are uniquely, individually facing stress, that we are uniquely, individually facing situations in our life that we are not able to control, facing situations in our life where we are unhappy or we are not peaceful. And for the most part, we don't even have the right level of resources, the right level of capability to even define it for people, to even define it for ourselves. That's what my mental wellness journey is all about. So let me start with that now. Back in 2020, when COVID happened, the first lockdown, my first post on social media, the first post that I did the day of the first lockdown, okay, my first post was, I hope Modi ji has kept enough budget for suicide prevention and depression. I hope Modi ji has kept enough budget for suicide and depression. That was my first post on social. Let me tell you, before that day, I had absolutely never ever thought about working in the mental wellness area. However, and this post wasn't really supposed to be an intellectual post. This was one of those flippant social posts that was just meant to generate some laughter, that was just meant, to get visibility with people. That's pretty much what it was about. And then after this post, after it went on and I had a few chats with a few different people that responded to it or that communicated, or where I was able to talk to them about it, I started to realize that it's a huge problem. And it's not a problem that came with COVID. It's a problem that has existed almost forever. It's a problem that impacts each and every one of us. Over the last few years, I have done workshops with senior citizens in Sanic Farms, perhaps the number one richest people colony in Delhi. And I have done workshops in composite schools in Uttar Pradesh, perhaps the most rural, backward, poor community in the country. And I have realized that mental wellness really impacts them and them at the same level. So anyway, let me get back to what I was saying earlier. So I looked at, and it seemed like everybody was impacted, and that triggered some thoughts saying, hey, so what is being done about it? I mean, each one of us have days when we are good, have days when we are bad, have days when we are productive, have days when we are not productive. If somebody can simply reduce the number of bad days or the intensity of those bad days, think about it. One, how much productive or efficient would you be able to get? Most people in my research, and I have done this research, I have talked to at least 25-30,000 people in this. Okay, in my research, most people have at least a 40% difference between their good day and their bad day, the productivity difference. Most people have at least 40% difference. A large majority of people even have 70%, 80%, or 100% or exponential difference in their productivity from a good day to a bad day, from the day when they are feeling good about everything to the day when they are not, from the day when they are stressed to the day when they are not stressed. There is a huge difference. Okay, so we said, why does nobody think about it? I mean, if you think about it, it would probably be the most efficient thing to do, right? Provide people capability to improve their productivity by this much amount, their efficiency by this much amount. So that's number one. Number two, how happy would you be able to get? Think about it. If you did not have that bad day, if you did not have that unproductive day, when you were feeling unhappy, when you were feeling stressed, when you were not able to focus on work, when you were not peaceful, how much happiness and peace of mind can I deliver for you? Number three, from an organization's perspective, from an organization's perspective, what kind of an impact will it have in the overall culture of that organization? Number four, from a pure healthcare perspective, whether it is about healthcare costs or whether it is about wellness of people, what sort of an impact would it have? And these were the four factors that we started to look at. And I saw what was going on in the mental wellness industry. And it seemed like everybody that was working on mental wellness was trying to do just one thing. And that one thing is, what is it that we can sell to people? And as they went through that journey, they said, either you can sell more counselings, more therapies, more doctor visits to people. So how do you make that doctor visit easy, which is making a marketplace? Or number two, how do you provide a specific content solution? A specific content solution could mean meditation. A specific content solution could mean some specific sort of activity, or a specific content solution could mean some sort of a workshop. So any company that I looked at, anybody that we looked at that was working in the mental wellness world was trying to increase counselor visits, therapist visit, psychiatrist visits, or trying to sell some content, some workshop, or some program. And when we looked at it, we said, but there are fundamental challenges in it. First of all, there is so much of stigma, there is so much of pressure, there are so many challenges that each and every one of us have. Think about it. Is anybody in this room very comfortable talking about their mental stress, their breakdown, and their anxiety to their teachers, to their employers, to their managers, to their organization? Pretty much nobody. And the reason is, they think if they talk about it, they are either going to be judged, or the information that they share is going to be misused. and the issues that they would share would be trivialized. So nobody is very comfortable talking about it, right? So you need to provide a capability, a platform, something through which people can get genuine help. So as we looked at it, we came up with two specific decisions. Number one, we developed what we call as this cycle of depression. Okay. And the question that we were really trying to answer is, when I tell people let's do something around mental health and let's develop some kind of a technology, some kind of a program, some kind of a platform or something, the first question is, but how will that help somebody who is looking at committing suicide? How will you reduce suicides with that? You can't do that. It doesn't help them. And my response to those people always is, absolutely it does not help. I, or anybody for that matter, unless I am a very well trained psychiatrist or an extremely well trained therapist, I am not going to be able to stop somebody who has decided to commit suicide from committing suicide. That's not what we are trying to do. What we are trying to do is we are trying to work with each one of you. We are trying to empower people from across to get capability and to get mental wellness support from much before. So let me now start with this cycle of depression. What always happens with people is there is a point of time when you feel sad or when you feel lonely. Remember these two keywords, extremely important. When you feel sad or when you feel lonely. Dukh, akelapan. That's where it starts. Now, over a period of time, as you go through this feeling of sadness, this feeling of loneliness, there is a point of time when you start receiving reinforcements for it on a day to day, on a regular basis. Then it proceeds further, and there is a point of time when you feel dejected. And then it proceeds further from being dejected to where you have a feeling of hopelessness. And from that feeling of hopelessness, people further deteriorate and they end up going towards what is called as depression. And some point within that depression, they end up into the stage of clinical depression. My take is, mental wellness capabilities, except for a highly trained professional, does not work when people have crossed the stage of hopelessness. However, for each and every one of us, each and everyone who is on this call right now, when we are feeling sad and lonely, when we are getting reinforcement of it, when we are feeling dejected, if empowered with the right set of tools, if empowered with the right set of capabilities, we can all get support. Okay, we can all get support. Let me try to layer down this concept of mental health, this concept of feeling well, feeling good about yourself, in 5 easy adjectives. So one of the things that we realize as I was going through this journey is, there is so much confusion around mental health. I mean, for the life of me, and I've been working in this area for years now. For the life of me, even today, I have trouble really understanding what mindfulness is. I'm saying that jokingly, but really, I'm sure many of you get. Mental health is not understood well. So one of the things that we did is we tried to break it down. And when we tried to break it down, we came up with what we call as the 5 adjectives of mental health. So here it is. All that each one of us is trying to do in our life, in everything that we do, is trying to reduce stress, sadness, and loneliness. That is why I said, remember the word sad and lonely. All that we are trying to do in our life is try to reduce, number one, stress, number two, sadness, number three, loneliness. At the same time, all that we are trying to do in our lives is we are trying to increase happiness and we are trying to increase peace of mind. So the 5 adjectives of mental health for everybody to easily understand it is sadness, loneliness, stress, happiness, and peace of mind. That's it. That is simply as easy as it is for anyone to understand the meaning of mental health. And that is all that you look at. Now, let me move forward to the next aspect, something that I call as the 16-hour theory. Okay. Uh, and here it goes. So, all of you, okay, all of you, if I ask the question, have you ever worked on your mental health? And think about this. Have you ever worked on your mental health or your emotional health? There are three kinds of answers that I get. And again, I've asked this question of a very large audiences over the past. Since we are not face to face, and since you don't have direct interface to be able to talk, okay, here is the answer that I usually get. I will give you statistical data around it. 40 to 45% people that I talk to tell me that they have never done anything around their emotional or their mental health. 40 to 45% people have never done anything on their mental or emotional health. Nearly 45 to 50% people do something. Somebody does meditation, somebody goes to the gym, somebody writes a diary, somebody goes for a run, somebody travels every once in a while, somebody meets a friend, somebody has a drink or a smoke, somebody sleeps, some activity. 45 to 50% people say they do something around mental health in their life. 2 to 5% people would tell me that they have either been to a psychologist, or they have been to a psychiatrist, or they have had conversation with an expert, a counselor even. Okay, so 40 to 45% people do nothing. 45 to 50% people do one specific activity, and 2 to 5% people actually have done something more concrete in terms of getting support. Now, while we say that, let me ask a question. And Puneet, I noticed your comment. I will respond to that, why it is so famous these days. So thank you for that. So, while we keep saying, 40-45% say nothing, 45-50% say one activity, and 2 to 5% people actually take some support. While we look at that, can I do a thought experiment with you? So all of you, just consider what I'm saying. What if I tell you that while you keep saying that you do nothing about mental health, or you do one specific activity, or you have gone to a counselor or therapist for your mental health, in actual world, if you really think about your life, 16 hours a day, more than 16 hours a day, every day, all that you do is work on your mental health. Let me say that again, and please hear this carefully. More than 16 hours a day, every day, all that you do is work on your mental health. Every action that you take in your life, and every decision that you make in your life, is driven primarily by your need to optimize your mental health. Let's think about this for 15 seconds. Let me not say anything. So, more than 16 hours a day, every day, in every action that you do in your life, in every decision that you make in your life, all that you are trying to do is work on your mental health. It is perhaps the all consuming activity, the largest event in your life is the work that you do on your mental health. Whether you are deciding to wake up in the morning or not, whether you are deciding to eat a certain thing or not eat it, whether you are deciding to meet somebody or not meet, and then of course the corresponding action of it, whether you are deciding to study or not, play or not, party or not, travel or not, whatever that you do in your life, is primarily driven by your need to work on your mental health, your need to optimize your mental health. I call this the 16-hour theory. I call this the 16-hour theory, which is where I tell people all that you are doing in your life is primarily working on optimizing your mental health. Having said that, none of us, right? None of us are really able to get support with that. Why is that? And Puneet, to answer your question, that is why mental health is so famous these days. See, mental health has always been a problem area. People always had mental health issues. People always had stress in their life. People always had non workability in their life. People always have good days and bad days in their life. People always had challenges in their life. The problem is with COVID and post COVID. Okay, I'm not saying it came with COVID and it went away with COVID. With COVID and post COVID, we have lost our ability to live with it. Our parents, the generations before, and not even that, even us before, had enough capability to be able to get support for ourselves, or our mental health issues or their mental health issues at that point of time were not so ferocious that it would cause so much unworkability. This unworkability is what has made mental health very famous now. For me, the reason mental health has become so famous, mental health has become such a prevalent problem, perhaps the largest pandemic, way bigger than what COVID could ever be, is because of four key factors. I call them the four C's of mental health. The first C of mental health, in my view, is simply conflict. Conflict that we have internally with ourselves, conflict that we have externally with others, the conflict that we have in the world's going on. Number two, conformity. Our need to live up to the expectations of people around us, and our need to be able to live up to the expectations that we have with ourselves. Number three, contagion. And contagion is not just about COVID. Contagion is our fear of being in touch with somebody. Contagion is our fear of contracting a specific disease, our fear of everything that goes around us. And number four, it's climate. A lot of mental wellness or a lot of mental health issues that we have right now are either the ill effects of climate change. Okay, and when I say ill effects of climate change, I'm talking about the extreme weathers that we face, this rainfall that we will have, which will be record, or this high amount of heat that we might have, or this high amount of humidity that we might have, or something. And it could even be the air pollution or the water pollution or other intolerant aspects of climate around our life. And climate also means the fear of climate change that all of us face. For some of us, there is just a fear. Will we have a world 20 years from now? When I grow up, when I'm 30 or 40 or whatever, what would be around me? So that also causes a lot of mental health issues. So mental health issues are caused by these four C's, which is what has increased it significantly: contagion, conflict, conformity, conformity, and climate. Remember this. This is why it has started to become so famous and become so prevalent. Now, one important and extremely important aspect that we need to look at is, as I mentioned earlier, more than 16 hours a day, every day, all that you are doing is working on your mental health. But the fact of the matter is, you still don't get help. Yeah, your issues are multiplied. Yes, you have so many challenges in your life. Yeah, you have so much of, fast moving life. But why are you not able to get support? And when we looked at it, we said people don't get support because they lack the vocabulary. So mental health ki bhasha, they lack the vocabulary, the language of mental health. They lack having the right kind of tools and solutions that are made available to them. And then they are not able to do this with the community at large. So vocabulary, tools, and some framework around it. And that's really what we are trying to do in mental health. And that's really why mental health is so important for you. See, all of us, all of you, okay, as you move forward, and I know a lot of people in this room are just about finishing their colleges, and a lot of people in this room are starting off, doing a startup or starting their job somewhere, or in early phases of your career. All of us that are in this call right now are going through fundamental transformational life changes. And what does change bring? Change brings with it a feeling of stress. Change brings with it a feeling of loneliness. And we all need to go through it. Whenever there is change that is going around us, there is increasing amount of uncertainty. There is increasing amount of pressure. And specifically for us in our early stages of our career or just about finishing our colleges, it's a fresh new start. It's the beginning point of whatever we have built up to. It's almost like we have prepared ourselves for 16 years of our life, and now is the culmination of those 16 years of studies, 16 years of education, and 20 years of life that we have spent. Now is the culmination of everything we have done. The pressure is humongous, the pressure is immense. So at this point of time, it is extremely important that you take care of your mental health, that you take care of all sorts of sadness, all sorts of loneliness, all sorts of stress, and everything that comes to you. And that's what we are trying to do with Soul Wellness. We are trying to empower people with the right set of vocabulary, the right set of tools and solutions, and the right set of framework to be able to take care of their mental health. Not just that, we are trying to do it free of charge. So there is an application on the internet, on the Android store or the Apple store, whichever one, whichever instrument you use, called as Soul Wellness. It is SOLH, Soul Wellness. It's actually, we call it Soul Wellness. It's an Arabic word that means making peace. Actually, in Arabic, it's called as Salah. Actually, it's not even an Arabic word. It's actually a Hindi word that is Sulh, which means making peace. Sulh karna. So, the application is called as Soul Wellness, SOLH, and you can download it on your Android phone or download it on your Apple phone. It is meant to be your guide and to be able to provide you mental wellness support as you move forward in your life, as you move forward in your career, as you start to do new and interesting things, as you start this new phase, whether this new phase is in a job, whether this new phase is as a startup, or whether this new phase is doing something else in your life. But it's supposed to be something that you are able to keep with you. Now, what it does, or what we are trying to do, or what you require in terms of mental health in your life are three things. Number one, what I call as self-help tools. So tools that you would be able to use, or things that you can do simply by yourself, where you need no other support, where you need nobody else to participate. It could simply be writing a my diary, so journaling. It could simply be keeping track of your mood. It could simply be certain self-assessment and screening tests and everything that you have available for you. It could simply be your ability to set up a goal or set up a milestone for yourself. It could simply be some kind of a course, some kind of a program, some kind of a toolkit that is made available to you. So it can be anything. And what we have given on the platform is a combination of these, what we call as self-help tools. The second part of what we enable is what we call as community support tools. See, it's very important. In the earlier days, before COVID, and actually, in the preceding generations, people were able to get a lot of mental health support through communities. Those communities could be joint families where you have, multiple people, and you are able to share what is going on in your life with somebody or the other. It could be just living in neighborhoods where you talk to each other. It is basically your ability to have non-transactional relationships. And this is an extremely important part of mental health. Most of our relationships now are purely transactional. And what we need to have for us to open up, for us to share our lives with somebody, for us to be able to get mental support from somebody, is a non-transactional relationship where pretty much we don't have. So one of the things that we have done is we have tried to provide this community support to people. Provide this community support to people in the form of support groups. So if you will go to the platform, you will notice there are 45 odd support groups, and they will range from a membership of 10, 20, 50 people to a membership of 2, 3, 4,000 people. And this is where it comes together. So if you are somebody that is facing higher amount of stress, you can go to the stress group and you can start talking about your stress, and perhaps either a peer or an expert would respond back, and you can gain from their knowledge, you can share what you have and everything. Or if you have anxiety related issues, or if you have procrastination related issues, or if you have some other challenges, you can find a respective support group and you can start participating there and get support. So self-help tools, community support tools, and the third part of what we enable is expert services. So if any one of you gets into a situation where you don't know, just don't know what to do, we have created a variety of different capabilities for them. Number one is what we call as Talk Now. Now this Talk Now capability is also available to you free of charge. And what it essentially means is anytime you are overwhelmed with emotions, you can simply click and talk to a counselor. So it's 11 in the night, you are feeling like there is an unworkability in your life, you are feeling as if you are overwhelmed because of some stress, because you are not able to finish your assignment, or because you are not able to crack a problem, or because you had some argument or some fight or something, or because you had something going on in your relationship that is causing that overwhelming feeling. But it's any time of the day and you are feeling overwhelmed with emotions, you can simply come to the platform and you can simply click and talk to somebody. So let's think about this again. What you need in your life is your ability to deal with your mental health issues by yourself, which is what we call as self-help tools, where you have no other person's involvement. It's just you. And we have enabled some of that using technology, so you can use it on the platform. Number two, community support, where you can work with the community and kind of get support with people at large. And expert services, where you can get support from an expert. Now, it's outside of this service that we call as Talk Now, which is available for you. If anytime you get into that overwhelmed feeling, or if you get into that situation where you need to get ongoing therapy or ongoing services or ongoing support from a psychiatrist, from a psychologist, or from a counselor, you can get that through the platform as well. However, the challenge is only about, as I mentioned earlier when I was asking, have you ever worked on your mental health? Only about 2 to 5% of people ever goes to a therapist, ever gets mental wellness support from an expert. However, mental wellness is a 100% challenge. There is nobody in this room, including myself, by the way, there is nobody in this room who doesn't need mental health support. And that mental health support is something that causes the difference. For people like you and me, for people that are creators, for people that are innovators, for people that have spent so much of their life learning new things, and they think they are going to use these new things that they have learned to achieve something big. For people that are looking as dreamers, as as achievers, mental health is absolutely going to be very common. If it already not is, I'm sure it already is. It is going to be very common, and it will exist in every part of your life. What you need to do is you need to create resilience. You need to identify, and you need to live with, and you need to hone your coping skills. What I mean by coping skills is each one of us. See, one important aspect of mental health, and I always tell people, mental health works in 8 billion different ways. And I'm only saying 8 billion because human population has not reached 10 billion. Mental health works individually, uniquely, different for each one of us. Each one of us has different coping mechanisms, different ways, different approaches for dealing with situations and for getting mental health support. What I'm trying to talk to you about is each one of you need to do whatever you can, however you can, wherever you can, to get mental health support in addition to the actions and decisions that you make in your life. And remember, anytime you take any action now, anytime you go through and take a decision now, remember, you are doing this with a view to optimize your mental health. While doing that, you still will require support. You still will require a framework. You still need to know the language of mental health. So remember, one, develop resilience in yourself. Two, look at your coping mechanism, identify them. We think coping mechanisms are bad. We think the fact that we walk away from a situation as our coping mechanism, or we argue with somebody, or we end up shouting or doing something is bad. It doesn't need to be. Your coping mechanism is your coping mechanism. It's your way of dealing with things. Let me give you an example, and many people around me really hate me for this. When I drive my car on the road, I abuse a lot. By the way, I never open my window to abuse. I never do anything. However, that abuse that I'm giving in closed windows in my car is my coping mechanism to deal with bad traffic, is my coping mechanism to deal with irresponsible driving from others. It's my coping mechanism. Now, some people may say it's terrible. I actually have, over a period of time, increased the amount of abuses I do because I think it keeps me healthy. It simply means when I get to my office, I have all my frustration and everything around traffic left in the car. Now, please note, I am not suggesting any one of you to do that because it will be extremely difficult to control. I'm not suggesting you use my coping mechanism. I'm just saying I have developed my own coping mechanisms. And each one of you need to identify what is it that works for you. What is it that keeps you sane? What it is that keeps you productive and efficient and happy and peaceful? And see how you can do more of that. How you can keep yourself engaged in more of such kind of activities. And at the same point, remember the 16-hour theory. Every action, every decision, all that you do is keep working on your mental health. So let me do one thing. I have a lot more to talk about, but while I'm doing that, can people that have any specific question, people that want to know anything around mental health, people that have any sorts of queries, if you can put them on the chat, and I can take those as well. And I mean, as I said, I know I have limited amount of time, another 15 minutes or so to go. I have a lot of information, a lot of content, a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I want to ensure I also take questions and I also respond to anything that you may want to know. Puneet, I hope I was able to answer your question on why has mental health become very famous these days. But yeah, I mean, it's the unworkability, it's the inefficiency, it's the way we live our lives in kind of silos, in transactional relationships, which has increased the amount of sadness, amount of loneliness, amount of stress that we have in our lives. Now, while we, and please, as I said, please feel free to put a message there for any questions, and I will keep going while you guys do that. Now, as you think about mental health in your life in the larger context of everything that goes around us, remember, mental health is the most contagious and the most viral thing around. Any individual's mental health, and think about this. Let's say you are sitting in a restaurant having your food, okay, and it's a brilliant, it's a lovely evening, you are with somebody that you really like, and you are eating food that's out of this world. And 3 tables down, there is somebody that is screaming at the waiter for whatever they got, they had a hair in the food that they were eating, or they didn't like the preparation that came, or their food was cold, or whatever, something else happened. Will you be able to enjoy your meal? Will you feel your food is as good? Will you enjoy the company of the person that you're sitting with? My take is absolutely no. Mental health, I mean, put somebody in the room who is stressed and put 100 people around, in matter of moments the entire room will get stressed. In matter of moments. Mental health is extremely contagious, and you need to know that when you are looking at and when you are working on optimizing your mental health, and along with that, when you are looking at optimizing mental health around people that you work with, or when you try to identify, or when you try to look at what sort of audiences, what sorts of friend circles, what sorts of groups, what is it that you should be doing, who is it that you should be keeping near you, what are the kind of people that you want to interact with, what are the kind of situations that you want to have as part of your life. One important aspect that I would also like to talk about, since I know most of you are just graduating or in early parts of your career, I always tell people, distinguish between what you want in your life. And one extremely important criteria for people of your age, for people in your stages, is to identify whether you are career oriented or whether you are financially independent. Let me distinguish the two. A financially independent person is someone that wants to earn money and that wants to spend that money, be financially independent, and do everything else in their life. A career oriented person, however, is somebody that at this, and this is very important at your age. At my age, it's not as important, but at your age, it's an extremely important differentiation. A career oriented person is somebody that is pretty much willing to give up most other things that they do at this point in your life, because they want to grow faster, because they are career oriented, which means they want to reach a certain pinnacle in their career, because they want to move at a certain pace in their career. So identify whether you are financially independent kind of a person or whether you are career oriented kind of a person. For me, this one differentiation causes a huge amount of mental health issues. As part of peer pressure, most of us start working in a career oriented mode, which means you won't take vacations on time, which means you will always give up your everything else to work harder and do all that, while really what your head is telling you is you are financially independent. So make that choice, decide what is it that works in your life. And for many other people, you go out on travel, you go out on various things, while you really would rather be career focused and you would rather grow faster. So make that distinction for yourself in the early stages of your career, whether you are financially independent person or whether you are career oriented person, and decide your pathway going from there. The second aspect that I want to mention, which is extremely important for people in your stage of life, is this concept of entrepreneur. Most of us, when they start or when they start thinking about entrepreneurship, they start thinking about the fact that they like their freedom, which is why they want to be an entrepreneur, so that they are not stuck in a regularized job. That's absolutely a fallacy. When you are an entrepreneur, you're actually responsible for a lot more. You're actually responsible for yourself, for people around you, for the company that you have, and everything. So extremely important. Absolutely, I want to ensure a lot of you end up being entrepreneur, but be an entrepreneur because you want to ideate, because you want to create, because you want to innovate, because you want to do more. Please don't be an entrepreneur because you want freedom in your life. That's not something that works very well for people if they are looking for freedom and they end up being an entrepreneur, end up being a founder, or end up doing something. Once again, while I go ahead, if anybody has any specific queries, any specific questions that they want me to take on, that they would like clarification on in terms of mental health, in terms of mental wellness, in terms of entrepreneurship, or anything else in general, please feel free to put in the chat, and I will be more than happy to respond to the queries that you may have. And please put them fast, because we will run out of time otherwise. Yeah, so I was saying, make this decision between whether you are career oriented or whether you are financially independent, and make this differentiation, or make this decision of being an entrepreneur or a founder with open eyes. Be an entrepreneur or a founder because you want to ideate, create, innovate, do something cool, grow bigger. Don't do it because you are simply looking for freedom in your life. That's not something that works very well. And please ensure, each and every one of you take care of, and you take time off, and you do something to focus on identifying what your mental wellness journey looks like. It's going to be unique, it's going to be personal, it's going to not be the journey of anybody else. But you need to take time to identify what works for you, to identify what gives you the resilience that you need to handle different kinds of situations, to identify what sort of coping mechanisms are theirs, are something that is part of your life, and hone in on them. Really start focusing on it, and really start looking at how different aspects of your life are integrated with each other, how you are doing everything in your life as part of what I defined as the 16-hour theory, where every small and large and medium sized action that you do in your life, every decision, small, medium, large, or whatever else that you do in your life, all of these are meant to go towards the optimization of your mental health. And you need to be clear, you need to look at it in that manner, and be able to proceed, be able to add value, and be able to kind of be more peaceful, be more happy, and reduce what I said earlier, reduce sadness, reduce reduce loneliness, and reduce stress in your life. So with that, I'm going to stop. If anybody wants to ask questions, they can. Otherwise, Askar, I will turn it back to you. And if you received any questions separately, you can ask those as well.
I don't see any questions on the chat. Let's wait for 30 more seconds if we
Sure.
have any questions. I must say it was an insightful session.
Thank you so much. And for anyone, I understand the topic here is mental health, so it is extremely difficult, it's extremely personal to ask questions. For anyone that would want anything, any queries or anything that you want to know, you can look at me up on Instagram, or Twitter, or Facebook, or LinkedIn for that matter. My handle in most of those places is Capgup, Kapgup. And absolutely download the Soul Wellness app, SOLH, and you can go there and ask your queries in the talk now or in other parts of the platform as well. So once again, thank you so
Shall
much,
I share
Askar.
the
I think
link?
people are probably not too comfortable asking questions here, and I completely understand. This is something that I regularly see in mental health. It's personal. It's scary for people to ask. Everybody else is listening. What would they think? Everybody else is there. How will they misuse this information? So I understand why people are unable to ask questions in such kind of environment. But as I said, anybody that wants to get any kind of a support, that wants to get any clarification, that wants to know anything more about how they can work on their mental health, by all means, please connect with me on social, download the Soul Wellness app, or get in touch, and we'll be able to help.
Great. Shall I share your LinkedIn in the comment section if anyone
you
wants to
can
look up?
you can certainly share my LinkedIn.
Sure. I have shared Kapil's LinkedIn in the comment section if anyone wants to reach out to him personally and ask any questions related to mental wellness. So thank you so much, Kapil. Thank you for
if you
taking
can
out
also,
time for the weekend.
if you can also put the name of the platform so people can download, I think that would be great too.
Sure. Soul wellness, right?
Yes, SOLH, Soul Wellness. Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you so much, Askar, and thank you to the Reskill team for asking me to come here and share my thoughts on mental health. And thank you, everyone, for being a patient audience, for listening. I hope I'm able to add value to you. I hope you are able to work on your mental health. You are able to be more peaceful, be more happy, and you are able to reduce sadness, loneliness, and stress in your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kapil. Thank you for taking out time on a weekend. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll meet next weekend for another insightful session. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.